The massive view screen on the bridge of the Earth diplomatic vessel Horizon flickered to life. The face that appeared wasn't human. It had smooth blue skin, large oval eyes, and breathing slits where a nose should be. Lieutenant Frank Miller took a deep breath. After 15 years studying linguistics and 5 years of special training, this moment would define his career. First contact with the Galactic Council. "Ready translation systems," Captain Lisa Woods said quietly. Frank nodded, adjusting his earpiece. The ship's AI had been processing the alien language signals for weeks, building a rough translation matrix. It wouldn't be perfect, but it should work. The alien spoke. The sounds were like nothing Frank had ever heard: clicks, whistles, and deep rumbling tones. After a 3-second delay, the translation came through his earpiece. "Greetings, Earth vessel. I am High Counselor Vextal of the Galactic Council. We welcome you to the galactic community." Frank relayed the translation to Captain Woods, who smiled and responded. "High Counselor, we are honored by your welcome. We come in peace and friendship, hoping to learn and share knowledge." When Frank's words reached the alien's translator, something unexpected happened. Vextal's large eyes widened slightly. The breathing slits on his face fluttered rapidly. "Your communication method is interesting," the alien said. "Please continue." Captain Woods began explaining Earth's history of space exploration. As she spoke, Frank noticed more aliens gathering behind Vextal on the screen. They were different species, some tall and thin, others short with multiple limbs. All seemed unusually focused on the captain's words. One of the aliens in the back leaned against a wall, eyes half closed. "Is everything all right?" Frank asked when there was a pause in the conversation. Vextal blinked rapidly. "Yes, your speech patterns are stimulating. We find them quite engaging." The meeting continued for 30 minutes. Frank noticed the aliens becoming increasingly distracted. Some swayed slightly. Others kept touching their translation devices, adjusting settings. A tall, insect-like alien suddenly stepped forward. "High Counselor, perhaps we should continue this another time." Its voice sounded urgent. Vextal seemed reluctant but nodded. "Earth representatives, we must end this session now. Unforeseen compatibility issues have arisen. We will contact you again in 3 of your Earth days." The screen went dark before Captain Woods could respond. The bridge was silent for a moment. "What just happened?" Woods asked. Frank shook his head. "I'm not sure. They seemed interested in our language itself, not just what we were saying." "Did we offend them somehow?" asked Security Officer Jack Bennett. "I don't think so," Frank replied. "They seemed, I don't know, almost too interested, like they were enjoying our speech patterns too much." Later that day, Frank reviewed the recordings in his quarters. He noticed how the aliens' posture and attention changed as the conversation continued. Their reactions reminded him of something, but he couldn't place it. Dr. Olivia Martinez, the ship's xenobiologist, knocked on his door. "Any insights?" she asked, entering his room. "Something's off about how they reacted to our speech," Frank said, playing back part of the recording. "See how that one in the corner started to sway? And the breathing patterns of the blue one, Vextal, became irregular." Olivia watched carefully. "That's odd. Those are autonomic responses, almost like a physiological reaction rather than a cultural one." "Exactly," Frank said. "It's like our words were doing something to them physically." Olivia's eyes widened. "Like a drug." Frank sat back, surprised. "You think English might be affecting their brains somehow?" "It's just a theory," she said. "But those reactions, they're not unlike what we see with mild euphoric substances." Frank looked back at the screen, watching the alien's strange behavior. "If you're right, this first contact just got a lot more complicated." In his report that night, Frank noted his concerns, but kept his wildest theories to himself. How could human speech act like a drug on alien biology? It seemed impossible. 3 days later, the council called back. This time, the aliens used a different translation system that altered the sound of human speech. The meeting was brief and formal. Frank didn't realize it yet, but humanity had just been identified as carriers of the most addictive substance in the galaxy, their own voice. 6 months had passed since first contact. The Earth diplomatic vessel Horizon had returned home, and a small team now worked in a secure facility near Washington, D.C. Their job was to study all records of alien interactions. Susan Powell played the video again. On her screen, a tall bird-like alien called a xanthe wobbled slightly after hearing an English greeting. She had watched this clip 50 times today. "There it is again," she said, pointing to her colleague. "Watch its eyes dilate when the word hello is spoken." Dr. Alan Carter leaned closer. "You're right. And look at the neck feathers. They flush with color." Susan nodded. "It happens with every alien species, but at different times with different words." She pulled up another video. "The blue ones, the Makari, react strongly to words with sounds. The insect-like vril respond to V and B sounds." Alan scratched his beard. "So certain sounds trigger physical responses in their bodies." "Yes, but it's more than that," Susan said. "I think it's the pattern of sounds, the combinations, the rhythm." Across the room, Olivia Martinez was testing a theory. She played recordings of various Earth languages for a captured alien communication device. The device had sensors that mimicked alien hearing. "English creates the strongest reaction," she called out. "Spanish is second. Japanese barely registers." Susan wasn't surprised. "The phoneme patterns are different. English has 44 distinct sound units. We combine them in ways no other species does." Alan stood up and paced the room. "But why would our speech patterns affect alien biology?" The answer came 2 weeks later. The research team had expanded to include neuroscientists and xenobiologists. They discovered something remarkable. "It's like music," Dr. Lily Rodriguez explained during the briefing. "Human speech creates wave patterns that resonate at specific frequencies. These frequencies happen to match neural firing patterns in most council species. In simple terms," Susan added, "our words literally vibrate their pleasure centers." General William Ellis frowned. "You're saying English is a drug to them?" "Essentially, yes," Alan confirmed. "The more they hear, the stronger the effect. Their brains begin to crave the stimulation." The implications were enormous. Reports from space stations near Council territory described aliens paying fortunes for recordings of human speech. Some didn't even care what the words meant. They just wanted to hear the sounds. One evening, Susan received a secret message from Frank Miller aboard the Horizon, which had been stationed at the edge of Council space. "The situation is getting worse," his message said. "Some aliens are becoming dependent on human speech. There are underground markets for Earth recordings. They call themselves wordheads. Council authorities are worried." Susan shared the message with her team the next morning. This explains why they switched translation systems during later meetings. They were filtering out the addictive qualities. "And why they limited contact," Alan added. "They're afraid of their people getting hooked on human speech." Olivia looked troubled. "If our words are essentially narcotics to them, what happens next? Will they ban all contact with humans?" The answer came 3 days later. A formal message arrived from the Galactic Council. Susan and her team watched as General Ellis read it aloud. "By unanimous vote, the Galactic Council has classified all Earth languages, particularly English, as Class 1 restricted communication methods. Direct exposure to human speech is forbidden to all Council citizens. Earth representatives must use only approved translation matrices for all communications." The room fell silent. "There's more," the General continued. "Any unauthorized transmission of human speech will be treated as trafficking in illegal substances. The Council demands Earth's full cooperation in this matter." Susan thought about the aliens who had already been exposed. What would happen to them? Would they suffer withdrawal symptoms? They're treating our words like drugs, Alan said quietly. Our very voices are now controlled substances. What do we do now? Olivia asked. General Ellis looked grim. We comply for now. But this changes everything about our place in galactic society. Susan stared at the screen showing alien reactions to human speech. We need to understand this better. If our words have this power, we need to know exactly how and why. None of them realized that across the galaxy, the demand for human speech was already growing into an underground movement that would soon challenge the Council's ban. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council stretched higher than a 10-story building. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in curved rows. At the center, on a small platform, stood Ambassador Catherine Wright. She was the only human in the room. The ban on Earth languages is an attack on our basic rights, she said, speaking through an approved translator device. The machine changed her voice into flat, emotionless tones. Humans cannot simply stop communicating in our natural languages. High Counselor Vextal raised a long blue hand. Ambassador Wright, this is not a punishment. It is a health measure. We have documented 73 cases of addiction to human speech patterns in the past month alone. Catherine frowned. The translator made her sound calm, even though she felt angry. Then develop better filters or protective devices. Don't isolate an entire species. From the upper level, a large insect-like alien leaned forward. This was Zarvex, the Council Security Director. His voice clicked through the translation system. Perhaps the ambassador should hear what happened on Colony Station 6, he said. Play the recording. The main screen lit up. It showed a small room where 5 aliens sat in a circle. A hidden device played a human voice reading what appeared to be a simple children's book. The aliens swayed back and forth. One had fallen over. Its eyes rolled back in apparent pleasure. These officials missed critical duties, Zarvex continued. 2 required medical intervention, all because someone smuggled in a recording of human nursery rhymes. The screen changed to show storage units being opened by security forces. Inside were thousands of small devices, black market human speech recordings, Zarvex explained, worth more than precious metals on some worlds. We cannot allow this to continue. Catherine felt trapped. How could she fight this? Her own voice was considered dangerous. A gentle-looking alien with fur covering its face stood up. I am Medical Director Prulon. Ambassador, please understand. When your people speak, the sound patterns create neural stimulation similar to your human drugs. Each exposure makes the effect stronger. Some victims now cannot function without regular doses of human speech. Catherine looked around the chamber. Most aliens avoided eye contact with her. Were they afraid of becoming addicted themselves? What do you expect us to do? She asked. Stop talking. Of course not, Vextal said. But all communication with Council species must use approved translation matrices that filter out the addictive qualities, and no direct transmission of human speech across Council space. Catherine thought of the billions of humans on Earth, unaware that their voices were now considered dangerous substances. And if we refuse these terms? She asked. Zarvex's mandibles clicked. Then Earth will be isolated. No trade, no technology exchange, no protection. The threat hung in the air. Earth needed the Council's advanced technology, especially their defense systems. Several aggressive non-Council species had already probed Earth's solar system. We need time to consider these demands, Catherine said finally. You have 10 Earth days, Vextal responded. Until then, all human communications must use these. He pointed to the translator on Catherine's collar. For everyone's safety. Later, in her private quarters, Catherine spoke with Earth's leadership through a secure channel. She had removed the translator, allowing her to speak normally to other humans. They're treating our language like it's radioactive, she told the UN secretary. Like we're walking drug dealers just by talking. Can we fight this? He asked. I don't think so. Not directly. They're genuinely afraid of what our speech does to their people. Then we'll comply for now. the secretary said. But we need to find a long-term solution. Humanity cannot enter the galactic community with our voices locked away. After the call ended, Catherine stared out her window at the stars. Somewhere out there, aliens were gathering in secret to listen to human voices. The very thing that made humans dangerous also made them irresistible. She wondered what would happen when the council discovered that the underground market for human speech was growing, not shrinking. Their ban had only made Earth's language more desirable, a forbidden pleasure that many aliens were willing to risk everything to experience. 1 year had passed since the council's ban on human language. Navy pilot Greg Patterson guided his small shuttle through the asteroid belt near Jupiter. According to his official flight plan, he was testing new navigation systems. The truth was more complicated. Coming up on the meeting point, he said to his passenger, Dr. Diane Reynolds. The xenobiologist checked her equipment one last time. Remember, no more than 30 minutes of direct speech, she warned. We don't want to cause dependency. Greg nodded. Ahead, a small ship waited, its lights blinking in a pattern that matched their agreed signal. Looks like our friends are here, he said, docking his shuttle with practiced ease. The airlock opened. 3 aliens entered. A tall Makari with blue skin, a furry trill that walked on 4 legs, and a small Xanthi with feathers that changed color with its mood. Welcome, Greg said without using his translator. The aliens visibly shivered at the sound of unfiltered human speech. The Makari spoke through a translator. Thank you for meeting us. We brought payment. He handed over a data crystal. Star charts for unexplored regions. Very valuable. Diane stepped forward. Before we begin, I need readings. She scanned each alien with her medical device. Your neural patterns show previous exposure, but no dangerous levels of dependency yet. The Xanthi's feathers rippled with gold colors, a sign of excitement. We are careful. We space out our sessions. Greg smiled. Today we brought something special. He held up an old book. Edgar Allan Poe, 19th century Earth literature. The aliens settled into comfortable positions as Greg began to read The Raven. He watched their reactions carefully. The trill's fur stood on end. The Makari's breathing slits fluttered rapidly. The Xanthi's feathers cycled through waves of purple and gold. This scene was playing out across the solar system and beyond. Despite the ban, or perhaps because of it, the demand for human speech had exploded. An underground network had formed, with humans providing direct conversation or recordings to aliens willing to take the risk. These aliens called themselves wordheads. Some sought the pure pleasure of human speech patterns. Others claimed that exposure to human language expanded their thinking, helping them solve problems in new ways. After exactly 30 minutes, Diane touched Greg's arm. That's enough for today. The aliens looked disappointed, but didn't argue. They understood the rules that kept their unusual habits safe. Same time next month, the Makari asked. Greg nodded. Bring medical data if you can. Dr. Reynolds is studying long-term effects. After the aliens left, Greg and Diane prepared to return to Earth. They're getting bolder, Diane noted. That Xanthi is a mid-level government official. If he's caught, the penalties would be severe. Greg shrugged. Can't stop people from wanting what they want. Or aliens, in this case. Back on Earth, the black market for human recordings had become sophisticated. Voice actors made fortunes selling exclusive content. Different speech patterns targeted different alien species. Soft vowels for Makari, sharp consonants for Vril. Meanwhile, council enforcement agencies struggled to contain the spread. They'd raided meeting places and confiscated recordings, but new ones appeared faster than they could be removed. At the Secure Research Facility in Washington, Susan Powell reviewed new data from field agents like Greg and Diane. The effect is getting stronger in regular users, she told Dr. Alan Carter. Their brains are adapting, becoming more sensitive to human speech patterns. Alan frowned. That could be dangerous. What if they become fully dependent? Susan nodded. There's something else. Look at this. She showed him brain scans of regular wordheads. Their neural pathways are changing. They're developing new connections. It's like human speech is rewiring their brains. For better or worse? Alan asked. We don't know yet, Susan admitted. But some report enhanced cognitive abilities after exposure, better problem solving, more creative thinking. Alan looked troubled. If that's true, the Council has even more reason to fear human language. It's not just addictive. It might fundamentally change their species. Susan stared at the data scrolling across her screen, or help them evolve. The question is, what happens when they find out? Dr. Heather Johnson had never seen her lab so crowded. Scientists from Earth stood shoulder to shoulder with aliens who had special permission to be there. All wore protective headgear that filtered human speech. Today we present our findings on why human language affects alien neurological systems, Heather said through her translator. The device made her voice flat and mechanical, but it was safer for the alien visitors. She pointed to a large screen showing sound wave patterns. Human speech contains unique frequency combinations not found elsewhere in the galaxy. These frequencies create harmonic resonances in most alien brain structures. Next to her, a McCurry scientist named Galactic nodded. He had been working with Heather for months, studying brain scans of affected aliens. The effect is similar to certain chemical compounds, Galactic added, but it is not harmful to tissue. It simply creates pleasure responses. Heather changed the display to show Earth's geological history. We believe this developed because of Earth's unique conditions. Our planet has specific atmospheric pressure, gravity, and geological features that shaped how humans evolved to communicate. The audience watched as she explained how Earth's thunderstorms, ocean waves, and wind patterns had influenced human speech development over thousands of years. Our vocal patterns mimic these natural sounds, Heather continued, sounds that don't exist on most council worlds. A human scientist raised his hand. But why does the effect get stronger with exposure? Why do aliens become dependent? Galactic stepped forward. This is most concerning to the Council. We discovered that alien brains actually rewire themselves after hearing human speech. Neural pathways change to better process these pleasurable sounds. The brain wants more of what feels good. Heather nodded. It's similar to how human brains respond to music we enjoy. We develop preferences, seek out similar sounds. But in alien biology, this process is much stronger. The room grew quiet as everyone considered the implications. After the presentation, Heather met privately with Earth's science team and military leaders. So our voices are like drugs to them, General Ellis said. And the more they hear us, the more they want. Yes, Heather confirmed, but there's more to it. The neural changes appear to enhance certain brain functions. Some regular listeners show improved problem-solving abilities, better pattern recognition, even enhanced creativity. Are you saying human speech makes aliens smarter? Someone asked. Not exactly, Heather said. It seems to open new neural pathways. Think of it like learning a musical instrument. It exercises parts of the brain that might otherwise stay dormant. Dr. Alan Carter looked troubled. The Council already fears addiction. If they learn that our speech might actually change their species, they'll never lift the ban, General Ellis finished. Later that day, Heather received an urgent message from Galactic. The Council had called an emergency session. They are classifying human speech as a natural narcotic, his message said. Enforcement efforts will be doubled. Any alien caught listening to unfiltered human speech will face serious penalties. Heather wasn't surprised. The Council feared what they didn't understand, and human speech represented a force they couldn't control. That evening, she reviewed brain scans from willing alien subjects. The changes were fascinating. Areas related to creative thinking lit up when exposed to human speech patterns. Neural connections formed between previously separate parts of the brain. Her computer chimed with an incoming message. It was from Diane Reynolds, the xenobiologist working with the Underground Network. You need to see this, Diane's message said. Some long-term wordheads are developing new abilities. A Xanthi official solved a mathematical problem that had stumped their scientists for years. He claims he heard the solution while listening to human poetry. Heather stared at the message. If this was true, human speech wasn't just addictive. It was transformative. She typed a quick reply. Keep this quiet. If the council learns that human speech is changing their people in fundamental ways, they might do more than ban our language. They might ban humans entirely. As she sent the message, Heather wondered if it was already too late. The underground network of wordheads was growing. More aliens were experiencing human speech every day, and they were changing in ways no one had predicted. The news spread quickly through council space. Truleth, a senior member of the powerful Vedari collective, had been caught in a secret meeting with a human. Council security forces had found them in a private chamber on Station Alpha 7. The human was Vincent Rogers, a poet whose works had become highly prized in the underground speech market. "This is a disaster," Ambassador Catherine Wright said as she paced her office. Truleth is one of the most influential members of the council. His species controls 27 star systems. Laura Mitchell, Earth's chief negotiator, nodded grimly. The council is calling it linguistic trafficking. They're demanding we turn over Vincent Rogers for punishment. "That's not going to happen," Catherine replied firmly. "He didn't force anyone to listen to him." Truleth sought him out. The door opened and General Ellis entered, his face grim. "It gets worse." They found recordings in Truleth's quarters. Hundreds of hours of human speech, music, poetry, even ordinary conversations. He's been listening for months. Laura sighed, a high-ranking official addicted to human speech. The council will use this to justify even stricter controls. She was right. Within days, the council announced new regulations. All human ships would be required to use AI communication systems instead of human voices. Human settlements in shared space would need special sound dampening technology. Any alien caught with human speech recordings would face severe punishment. 3 days later, Catherine stood before the full council. The chamber felt cold and hostile. "Earth rejects these new restrictions," she said through her translator. "Banning natural human communication violates our sovereign rights as a species." Zarvex, the security director, stepped forward. His insect-like features showed no emotion, but his voice was sharp through the translation system. "Your language is a threat to galactic stability," he said. Truleth neglected critical duties. His addiction endangered trade agreements affecting billions of lives. From his special chamber, connected by video, Truleth himself spoke. The Vedari skin had a sickly gray tone, suggesting he was undergoing treatment to break his dependency on human speech. "I do not deny my actions," he said, "but the human, Rogers, opened my mind to new ways of thinking. Their speech patterns, they change you, make you see beyond old limits." The council leader cut his feed. Truleth is clearly still affected by exposure. His judgment cannot be trusted. Catherine looked around the chamber. Most council members avoided meeting her eyes. Were they afraid of humans now? Or were some of them secret wordheads themselves? "If human speech is so dangerous," she asked, "why are more and more of your people seeking it out? Perhaps there's something valuable than our communication that you're trying to suppress." Her words caused a stir. One council member stood up angrily. "Humans think their language makes them special, that their words have some magical quality. This is arrogance." "No," Catherine replied calmly. "It's observation. The underground network grows larger every day despite your bans. Something about human speech resonates with your people in ways we're only beginning to understand." The council leader slammed his hand on the table. "Enough. Earth has 2 choices. Accept the new restrictions or face isolation from galactic society." Later, in emergency meetings with Earth leadership, Catherine and Laura presented their assessment. "They're scared," Laura explained, "not just of addiction, but of influence. Human language seems to change how aliens think, makes them question old patterns." Can we afford isolation? Someone asked. We need their technology, their protection. General Ellis shook his head. We can't give up our most basic form of communication. There has to be another way. Catherine stared out the window at the stars. The council is divided. Some see us as a threat to be contained. Others are curious about what human speech might offer. So what do we do? Laura asked. We need leverage, Catherine said. And I think I know where to find it. There's a rumor that several council members have been secretly listening to human speech. If that's true, they'd be hypocrites, Laura finished. Catherine nodded. And possibly open to compromise. We need to find a solution that protects their people from addiction, while preserving our right to speak as humans. What none of them knew was that the solution would come from an unexpected source, a group of aliens and humans already working together in secret. The laboratory on Mars Base Alpha buzzed with activity. Human scientists worked side by side with alien researchers who had defied the Council's ban to be there. In the center of the room, Council bioengineer Paul Garcia carefully adjusted a small device. This is our third prototype, he explained to the observers. The previous versions filtered too much emotional content from human speech. Beside him, Professor Stephanie Clark nodded. The goal isn't to remove what makes human language special. It's to make it safe for alien nervous systems. Paul had once worked directly for the Council, designing translation systems. 6 months ago, he had approached Earth authorities with a bold idea. What if aliens could listen to human speech without becoming addicted? The small device in his hand represented months of work. It looked like a simple ear insert, but inside was complex technology designed to filter the most addictive qualities of human speech while preserving meaning and emotional content. Ready for the test? Paul asked. A Makari volunteer named Jorvin stepped forward. Unlike most aliens in the program, he had never been exposed to unfiltered human speech. I understand the risks, Jorvin said through his translator. Stephanie helped him insert the device into his hearing canal. Then she removed her translator and spoke directly to him. Can you understand me now? She asked in her natural voice. Jorvin's breathing slits fluttered slightly, but he remained steady. Yes, your speech patterns are pleasant, but not overwhelming. Everyone in the room held their breath. Previous tests had shown mixed results. Some aliens still developed dependency even with filtering devices. How do you feel? Paul asked after Stephanie had been speaking for 5 minutes. Clear-headed, Jorvin replied. I can focus on the content of her words, not just the sound patterns. It was a breakthrough, but Paul knew one successful test wasn't enough. The Council would demand proof that the device worked consistently across species. Meanwhile, across the solar system, other teams were taking different approaches to the same problem. On Europa Station, alien linguists worked with human specialists to develop modified speech patterns that maintained meaning while reducing addictive qualities. They called it safe speech, a way for humans to communicate directly with aliens without filters or translators. Some alien societies had begun their own programs. The Xanthi had developed special training to build resistance to the addictive qualities of human speech. Regular, controlled exposure helped their nervous systems adapt without becoming dependent. Despite these efforts, the black market for pure human speech continued to grow. Some aliens didn't want a filtered version. They craved the full effect, regardless of the risk. 2 days after the successful test, Paul and Stephanie presented their findings to Earth leadership and friendly alien representatives. The implant works by selectively filtering frequency combinations that trigger dopamine release, Paul explained. The alien listener still hears human speech, but without the intense pleasure response. Ambassador Catherine Wright looked hopeful. Will the Council accept this solution? A Vril representative clicked its mandibles thoughtfully. The conservative faction will resist. They fear any human influence. But many council members secretly want more contact with humans, not less. General Ellis raised a practical concern. Can we mass-produce these devices? There are billions of aliens in council space. That's the next challenge, Paul admitted. But we've proven the concept works. With proper funding, we could have production lines running within months. Stephanie pointed to another benefit of their research. We've also identified which elements of human speech create the strongest effects. This helps us develop the safe speech protocols for humans who choose not to use technology. Catherine nodded thoughtfully. So we're offering the Council options. Filtering technology for aliens who want to hear natural human speech, or modified speech patterns for direct communication without technology. Exactly, Paul said. Either way, humans don't have to give up their natural language. What none of them said aloud was the other implication of their research. They now understood precisely what made human speech so powerful. This knowledge could be used for communication, or as a tool of influence across the galaxy. For the first time since the van, Earth had leverage in negotiations with the Council. 5 years had passed since first contact. The great chamber of the Galactic Council looked different now. The rigid rows had been replaced by a circular arrangement that allowed better interaction between species. At the center stood humans and aliens together, presenting the final version of the Harmony Protocols. Today marks a new chapter in our shared history, said Kevin Walsh, the human linguist who had helped develop the protocols. His words were not filtered or translated. Many council members wore small devices in their ears, the perfected version of Paul Garcia's invention. Beside Kevin stood Nickel Baker, Earth's new xenodiplomat. The ban on human language has been officially changed to a classification of controlled communication method. Humans may now speak naturally in council space with appropriate safeguards. The council leader, a new Macari named Sorval, nodded. This compromise protects our citizens while respecting human rights. All parties have shown wisdom and patience. It had not been an easy journey. For 2 years, negotiations had stalled repeatedly. Some council species had wanted to maintain the complete ban. Others had argued for unrestricted access to human speech. The solution came through technology and adaptation. The filtering devices were now small and comfortable. Many aliens chose to wear them, allowing them to work directly with humans without risk of addiction. Other aliens underwent adaptation therapy, controlled exposure to human speech that built resistance over time. Some species proved naturally more resistant than others and served as intermediaries in complex negotiations. After the ceremony, Kevin and Nickel walked through the council station's main plaza. Humans and aliens mingled freely, some using translators, others speaking directly with the help of filtering technology. "Did you ever think we'd get here?" Nickel asked. Kevin shook his head. "Not after that first ban. I thought we'd be isolated forever." The turning point was when 3 council members admitted they'd been secret word heads, Nickel said. Once they publicly discussed how human speech had expanded their thinking without becoming fully addicted, others became curious rather than fearful. They passed a group of young Xanthi listening to a human reading poetry. The aliens wore monitoring devices that would alert them if their pleasure responses became too intense. In another corner, a human teacher named Bill Foster used modified, safe speech patterns to communicate with aliens who chose not to use filtering technology. The carefully adjusted rhythms and tones of safe speech retained meaning while minimizing addiction risk. Earth languages are still classified as controlled substances, Kevin noted, but at least we're not treated like walking drug dealers anymore. Nickel smiled. And we've gained something valuable too. The research into speech patterns has revolutionized our understanding of linguistics and neurology. Back on Earth, the changes were evident as well. Alien visitors were common now, many wearing speech filters. Special zones existed where only safe speech or translators were permitted for the protection of unfiltered aliens. The most surprising development had been the emergence of new art forms. Human-alien music combined the addictive qualities of human voice patterns with alien harmonics to create sounds that affected both species deeply. That evening, Nickel attended a reception for council diplomats. A Vedari approached her, the same species as Troleth, whose addiction had nearly caused a permanent rift between Earth and the council. "Your species has changed us. the Vedari said simply. Not just through your speech, but through your determination to find a solution that respected all sides. We had no choice, Nickel replied. Humans need to communicate. It's fundamental to who we are. The Vedari made a gesture of agreement. Perhaps that is why your speech affects us so strongly. It carries the weight of your humanity in its patterns. As the reception continued, Nickel watched humans and aliens communicating freely, some through technology, some through adaptation, all finding ways to bridge the gap between their different biologies. The ban had been necessary, she realized, not because human speech was dangerous, but because it was powerful. Like any power, it needed to be understood before it could be safely shared. And in learning to share their voice with the galaxy, humans had discovered something important about themselves. Their words carried more than meaning. They carried the unique rhythm of a species that had evolved on a world unlike any other in the galaxy.